All right. We are doing Pokemon Red right now, and we're going to be doing this out of order. So the point of this run is to make sure that we are not getting the badges in the order intended. Now, there are a couple of badges you can get out of order. For example, you can get the oh my gosh, I forget the gym leaders' names. I don't think that you have to get Sabrina's badge when you get it, and Misty and Lieutenant Surge can be swapped. But we're going to do some wacky stuff like trying to get Brock's badge last. Okay, I actually don't know what the inputs are on this one. That's back. That's A. Alright, so this is a classic copy of Red. Yeah, Brock is typically the first gym, and he's the one that you're not supposed to be able to skip. So in Pewter City, in the town that Brock is in, if you try to leave the city going east, then there's a scripted event where this guy will stop you and lead you all the way to the gym, and he'll do that every single time you go there. But Pokemon Red has an awful lot of bugs. And so it's very possible to So it's very possible to bypass that, to bug it out so the guy walks away and leaves you behind. In fact, a whole bunch of the bugs in this game all work on the same principle, which is that you can, if you're fast enough, you can save the game or use fly or an escape rope or something. What's my rival's name? You know what? There we go. There's my rival. Poor Professor Oak. He's suffering a little bit of Alzheimer's. He's forgetting about his own grandson. Yeah, basically, a lot of times when something is supposed to happen, like an NPC is supposed to walk towards you or something, you can just press the start button and get away from him. Okay, so there's my start button. Yeah, SNES, baby. Okay, that was enough Kirby. Always get the potion. There is a potion hidden on the machine that is like the secret cheat there. Yeah, so that's actually the same glitch that you use to catch Mew and a bunch of other unusual Pokemon. So I'm not. So you got some cool situations. Like I might try to do this where you can get a level 100 Nidoking before you get to Brock's gym. Oh wait. Yeah. Hey, the professor's not here. What the heck? Yes, you can catch Mew with an escape technique, and you can do it before the Viridian City Gym. The only time that I've actually done it was before, right outside of Lavender Town. But you can do it from an encounter outside of Viridian City. Oh, Rico is so rude. Such a rude rival. Basically, what's happening, if I see if I can explain this right. Basically, what's happening is that the game thinks that you're supposed to be in a fight, and instead of having a real random number generator, it bases what you're going to encounter off of the stats of the Pokemon in your party, or of the Pokemon that you just fought. So you can actually manipulate what you're going to encounter by fighting different things. Alright, I told somebody... Charmander is always my go-to, but I told somebody that we're going to do something a little bit different this time. And I do want to take a look at all three of these so that register in my Pokedex. And based on a conversation we had in the Legend CA post-game stream, yeah, I'm taking Bulbasaur this time. Okay, what do we call him? Bulbasaur. I'm going with garlic. Alright, so in the original game here, in Pokemon Red and Blue, the thing in Red and Blue here is that this first fight, it isn't really like the rock, paper, scissors that you see in the other ones. Like in remakes, all of the Pokemon get an elemental attack and stuff like that. So your rival really does have an advantage. In this one, though, it's more like they all just have scratch or tackle or something. Oh, we're just gonna growl each other. Okay, at this point I'm kind of committed. I gotta outgrowl him. So it largely comes down to which Pokemon is faster and which one gets more critical hits. So his Charmander already got a critical hit on his first actual attack on me. 6 growls as far as it goes, so he's got 5 on me, I've got 6 on him. Which actually puts him at a slight advantage, because look at this, we're hitting for 1 HP each, but he hit me for a little bit more than that earlier. But because I went back and I got the potion, he doesn't have one of those. Jeez, another critical hit. Yeah, see, he's got 2 critical hits to my 0. And there goes the last of my attack. Jeez. Okay, so he's got 3 criticals and I've got none. You see how this is a little bit weighted here? Another 4 critical hits to my 0. Okay, so my big advantage here is that the AI doesn't, and I can miss on tackle, jeez. So it's got 4 criticals on Charmander, I've got 0 and a miss. Alright, Garlic, I could really use a critical hit here. Fortunately, the AI doesn't know not to use Growl after, already lowering me all the way. Okay, so Unarat was asking about the RNG thing. Might as well talk about that while I'm stuck in this. I've got 0 critical hits here. If he gets like 1 more, I'm dead. I think that the special stat. Hey, there's the critical hit. I am the Pokemon champion. I think that the special stat is the one that actually determines what Pokemon you run into. Like, there's a list of Pokemon IDs, and it doesn't match the Pokedex number list. But whichever one, if you're using the escape rope bug, then the special attack of whatever you encountered determines what the next Pokemon you'll encounter is. Okay, I'd better make sure that my Pokemon is alive. So way back in Red, if you look at the icon on Garlic here, way back in Red they didn't have individual icons for every different Pokemon like they do now. Always save. They didn't have individual icons for different Pokemon, and so you had stuff like Bulbasaur and Venusaur are a freaking flower. Just a flower. They're like a fire flower. Tech speed fast. Animation, battle shift, cancel, good. Okay, so we're gonna head up to Cereal. I don't have any Pokeballs. Well, no, the trigger to activate those 2 different bugs is similar, but you don't need to like catch a special Pokemon to activate the no-clip. You can, in fact, the one that I'm going to be doing is not technically a no-clip, but there's a related no-clip bug that will let you walk through mountains all the way to the power plant, so that you can catch a Zapdos before you ever get to your first gym. The only problem with that is that, all your Pokemon are going to be about level 10, and it's going to be level 50, I think. So you're just going to get totally rocked. Your only real opportunity is to go in, save right before you start the encounter, and just chuck all the Pokeballs you can at it before your whole party is fainted. Okay, whoop, I thought this was going to give me the sign about, like, what city we're in here. Alright. So I did do... This is the Pokemon Center. While I'm here, I might as well do that. I did actually do a debunked video. It took so many hours, but in the original Red and Green, the Japanese versions, if you took this parcel back to Oak, but you had evolved your first Pokemon, then he would, Oak wouldn't accept the parcel, or he wouldn't give you the Pokedex. Basically, he thought that you already had the Pokedex since you had 2 registered, and therefore he wouldn't give you a new one. In Red and Blue, they fixed that. So, like, you don't have to worry about losing the ability to progress the game if you happen to gain another 10 levels fighting level 2 Rattatas. Yeah, so I literally sat here and fought level 2 and 3 Rattatas with my Charmander until level 16, until it evolved into a Charmeleon, just to see if that was true, because that's a internet rumor that still floats around. The problem is that it's technically true, but only in the Japanese versions, because they fixed that for the international releases. So when everyone says that it happens in Generation 1 games, that's not quite accurate. Alright, we got Leech Seed, which is not a strong combat move. I love how the palette changes whenever you enter a new town. Like, Pallet Town here is, it's very neutral, so you get kind of this, like, gray, really washed out coloration. But then every other city is named after a color. And not like, easy colors that a lot of 10-year-olds, the target audience for this game, would know about, like red and blue and green, but like cerulean and lavender and Viridian and stuff like that. The idea for that, the developers intended for the game to be focused on exploration. They wanted you to explore the world and find all kinds of stuff. So there's lots of hidden stuff, like that potion that's hidden in the computer when you first start the game, and the legendary Pokemon that you sometimes have to go out of your Zapdos. You really have to go out of your way to find. And part of that idea, that theme of exploration and discovery, was that they named all the towns names that players, again, 10-year-olds was the target audience, they named all the towns colors that those players probably didn't know, but would learn about later in life, and they'd have that moment of discovery and say, oh my gosh, Cinnabar? Like, Cinnabar Island? And then eventually realize, let's see, oh, we got the town map, let's take a look at it. And then eventually realize that if you look at the Kanto region here, it looks an awful lot like a painter's palette, with each of the towns representing a different color that you'd reach through, and then this bay over here as the handle, I guess? I don't know what the proper terminology is for a palette. They did not spell palette correctly, though. No. Wait. Does Oak give me Pokeballs initially? I feel like I got to my first town at some point and already had some Pokemon. I guess not. I guess I have to get up there and buy some Pokeballs. No, I think that a painter's palette only has one L, not two. But again, I could be wrong. So, Bulbasaur's first elemental attack that it gets is Leech Seed here, which isn't, I mean, I guess it's better than, Ember for Cerulean and Pewter City Gyms, but it's not super effective. So I don't know if it actually helps all that much for fighting Brock. Pidgey, on the other hand, gets Gust, which is not super effective on Bulbasaur. Is Gust not a flying type attack? I wouldn't be a bit surprised if Gust was actually a normal attack that was specifically chosen as a normal attack, because having super effective attacks against a first partner Pokemon before you can even get to the first, before you even catch a backup, would be a little bit unfair. Possibly even more unfair than having two gym leaders in a row that resist one of the three. I'm in danger. Oh, no encounter, okay. So I've played through Pokemon Red and Blue and Yellow, I don't know how many times, and one of the things that I really wish that they had included that they made in later games was the running shoes. Yes, we do get the bicycle eventually, but in the meantime, you're sort of just plodding along on foot. The designers actually didn't, consider not doing running shoes at all. They didn't really like the idea of running shoes. Okay, let's see what else we got. I think from here we can go west. Okay, I don't actually want to go west just yet. I want to catch a Pokemon. Yeah, see that subtle shift in color right there? Pidgey is a solid pick. Pidgey evolves into Pidgeotto and then Pidgeot, and Pidgeot is actually like a really good Pokemon. It basically started the whole meme of first route birds. So like a good Pidgey is going to be with me the entire game. Alright, what are we naming Pidgey? I don't have a good name for Pidgey. Let's go with Iggy the Pidgey. Moonrat, you got input on this real fast? No? Alright. Tell you what, when I'm out here catching new Pokemon and stuff, if you want to give me a name pretty much as soon as you see it, I know that there's a little bit of a delay where where you're not seeing what I'm seeing until a few seconds later. But you want to shout out a name, I will name that Pokemon that, as long as it's appropriate. Remember, this is a kid's game. Alright, and we want to level that Pidgey a little bit, because I do want to go west, because you can catch Nidorans in the rest, and Nidorans are amazing. You can evolve a Nidoran real early in this game and have an absolute powerhouse early on. But I also know that my rival is hiding out over there. Boy, that was a lot of damage. I am going to catch some Rattatas. I'm just trying to get a little bit of experience on Peggy first. Holy mackerel. Okay, garlic leveled up. Good. Right, so you hear that that beeping sound? That's actually used in speedruns. Like, that beeping sound overrides a lot of other sounds, like longer Pokemon cries. So speedrunners sometimes keep their Pokemon at very low HP for an extended part of the game, just in order to cut down the amount of time from Pokemon's doing their cries. And that's, you know what? Let's catch this one. He's kind of low already. And that's kind of the same issue that I've been having with Pokemon Legends ZA. If you'll remember, if you've been watching those streams, a lot of times I'll be like just playing the game. Oop, we got a name for this Rattata. Look at that, he's got the, looks like a cow body as its icon. Rick, okay, Rick the Rattata. Just a heads up, I'm not actually planning on keeping this Rattata in my party for very long. One of the unfortunate things about this game is that you do have to level all of the Pokemon individually. Okay, I'll keep Rick for a while. You do have to level all the Pokemon individually, so like I need Peggy to be in front, and then switch to Garlic instead of just like letting Garlic stand out here and get a bunch of experience and share it. The experience share wasn't really a thing at this point. I think that you get an experience share at the end of the game, so that you can level other Pokemon. But it's not typically part of your regular playthrough. Okay, we're still going. We need just a few levels on these guys in order to be able to safely get to the next town. The forest up ahead is Viridian Forest, and it's full of Weedles and... that was a good one. It's full of like Weedles and Caterpies. I don't think that either one is exclusive to either game, but I think that you get different proportions in different games. Like, I think you get more Weedles in red and more Caterpies in blue. Oh. Okay, I may have overextended here a little bit. We need to go and heal. Oh no. We're in danger. Oh, it's level 2? I think I can do that. I can definitely do that. There's also a reason that Pokemon start at level 2 here and not at level 1. There are no level 1 Pokemon in the game. There's a There was a programming issue, I guess, with the way that experience and levels were calculated that resulted in level 1 Pokemon having, I think, negative experience. And what that meant in terms of gameplay... There we go. What it meant in terms of gameplay is that if you had a level 1 Pokemon and it leveled up, then it would automatically shoot up to like level 100 because it thought that it had rolled over on experience. That's actually how you get that level 100 Nidoking or Gengar. You catch it at level 1 and you get just a little bit of experience and it just skyrockets in level. So level 2 Pidgey only has Gust. That's its only move. And I'm sorry, I know that the initial grind here is grindy. You got your level 2 Pokemon. They're basically useless. It's a rock, paper, scissors, not even rock, paper, scissors. It's a coin flip versus other level 2 Pokemon. So you just have to keep on beating stuff up in order to get some levels. There are no lucky eggs in order to increase experience. There's no affection or friendship ring to increase experience. It's all just grind. And I always think that the worst grind in the entire game always feels to me like this part at the very beginning, where everything is super low level. Okay, that's bad. This is a big, strong Rattata. I'm gonna be like super happy if I manage to KO this thing without losing Peggy. That's gonna be that's good experience for Rick and for Peggy. But now it's time to go and heal again. Aye. Fight 3 Pokemon, go heal. Fight 3 Pokemon, go heal. Like I said, it's a bit of a grind. This is like that first episode of every anime where nothing really exciting happens. Typically, if I'm looking at a new anime, I figured I need to watch about 3 episodes before I decide if I'm gonna want to watch the rest. Now we're getting this level 4 Rattatas. Yeah, if you listen really closely, you can actually make out a little bit of classical music and a handful of the background music here. I've seen a couple compilation videos about it, like, oh yeah, did you realize that this city's music is just this music? Okay. So Rick is a little bit faster than Pidgey. Seems to do, well, if he doesn't miss, he does about the same amount of damage. Okay. So much for letting Rick take care of that one himself. Oh, I should have switched to Peggy. Peggy would have taken this one. Okay, we got a level 4 Rick, and a level 9 Garlic. Let's see if we can get one more taken care of before we go and heal again. I would like Rick and Peggy to be at least level 5 before I get out of this grass. Oh no! Good thing this isn't a Nuzlocke run. So I saw I saw a run challenge. I don't know how much of a challenge it was. I need to figure out what the actual rules are, because what it looked like this guy did was he started with Pokemon Red or Blue, and he did a Nuzlocke run, which is special rules on a Nuzlocke run. You can only use Pokeballs that are and items that you find on the ground or that are given to you. You can't buy items. The only Pokemon that you can catch on any route is the first one you encounter, so, you know, sometimes you get nothing but Pidgeys the entire way. And the most important rule is that if a Pokemon is knocked out, you need to release it. It's dead, is the idea. So that makes for a pretty challenging run. But what I saw was a guy who had done like a complete Red or Blue Nuzlocke run, and then transferred all of his Pokemon over to the next game. I don't remember if it was Yellow or if it was Gold, and continued the run, and kept on going all the way up to like Sun and Moon, I think. But Sun and Moon is notoriously difficult to Nuzlocke, largely because of those totem Pokemon. Oh my gosh, Rick with these missing tackles. And so, you know, a lot of his Pokemon that he had since Red and Blue got knocked out in Sword and Shield, or on Sun and Moon. And I'm really curious about the actual rules for that, because you would think that, you know, you finish Red and all of your Pokemon are in their high 50s to mid 60s, and then you're just gonna transfer them into another game and you're fighting a bunch of level 1s and stuff again? Level 2s? What am I doing here? Okay. Sorry, I had just had an alarm go off on my phone. Time to wake up, which means that my son might be waking up here soon. Get some experience for Rick and Peggy. I'm not fond of the low health alarm either. But also consider that this game was made for... Wait, is that all of them to level 5? This game was made for the original Game Boy, which did not have color screens. So, like, you'd get a slight change in tone, I think, when you went in and out of these towns, but you wouldn't be able to actually see, like, a red health bar. The reason that we can see a little bit of color here is because I'm playing this as a Game Boy Color game, which is the way that I originally played it. I bought a Game Boy Color without ever buying an original Game Boy. Alright, so we're gonna... save here and go the wrong way. We're head west, young man. Find... Well, it's the same version, but it was, it had a couple of improvements that only showed up in the Game Boy Color, because it was made near the end of the Game Boy lifespan. So the Game Boy Color, like when Pokemon came out, I think the Game Boy Color was already on the market. So the game was programmed to have like slight color support. And there were a couple of different games that had that were compatible with both the Game Boy and Game Boy Color. Another early one I had was The Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening DX, the deluxe edition, which had a black cartridge instead of the gray cartridge that Game Boy games had. It was compatible with Game Boy, but it was actually a Game Boy Color game. It had, if you played on Game Boy, it was basically exactly the same as the original version, Link's Awakening, on Game Boy, but they also added an extra dungeon that I don't know if you could access it on the original Game Boy, but I don't think that you could easily complete it on the original Game Boy because all the puzzles were based on color. You had to change the red tiles blue and stuff like that. And to date, hot take here, Legend of Zelda is kind of hit or miss for me. Like, there are some games in the series I absolutely adore, and some that I just plain don't care for. I love the top-down isometric ones, like Link's Awakening and Link to the Past and the Oracle games. I love that style of Zelda game. And Link's Awakening remains one of my favorite games. One of my favorite games, and I think my favorite Zelda game to date. Okay. Let's catch our Nidoran. Nidoran is going to be super important when we get to... wow, I don't remember the name of the city that Surge is in. Alright, well, we have a name for Nidoran. We're going to be a Nido King at some point. Okay, we're just gonna name Nido King Rex here. Nico, oh, so you gotta be a little bit quicker than that. Do we want to? He probably looks pretty healthy. Let's Swap Rex in front here. See about getting him a couple of levels. Cadence of Hyrule. I did like Trip of the Necrodancer, but not enough to want a sequel. You know, funny story with that, they weren't planning on making a sequel or spin-off for that game. I guess that the devs actually reached out to Nintendo to try to get permission to add some DLC, like some an extra dungeon that was inspired by Zelda and that referenced it and stuff, and Nintendo basically said, hey, we love this game, how about you just make a whole new one? Okay. Whoa, what just happened? Yeah, there's another amazing sound that I hate. The screech and leer sound effects in these games. Oh! I didn't actually know that there were Nidoran females on this route. I don't think I ever encountered them. So in later versions of this game, I think actually starting as early as Yellow, they changed a couple of things in order to make it easier for players, so you pick Charmander specifically, to deal with the first couple of gyms. Charmander learned, I want to say, Iron Claw? Maybe Iron Tail in some later games, so that he would actually have a super effective attack against Brock's Geodudes and Onyxes. Dang, that was a critical hit. That was not intentional. And also they put... one more. They also put Mankey over here in this grass, so that you'd be able to get something with some fighting type moves. There's a Spearow. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense that Nidoran males and females would be in the same area. Okay, yeah, see, this is why we're using Leech Seed, because he's got some super effect. And then I'm gonna, of course, miss. So I think Leech Seed, thankfully, I think that Leech Seed stays on even if my Pokemon gets knocked out. So, like, if this Spearow managed to knock out a Bulbasaur that's almost twice its level, it'll still have the Leech Seed. So if I switch in Peggy afterwards, Peggy will still get the HP from the Leech Seed. Okay. Let's see if we are strong enough to actually fight the rival now. we can even get to him safely. Alright, won't let me through without badges. Badges? We don't need no stinking badges. Oh, Jesus. Okay, so I'm just going to use Rex to weaken up Pidgey here. Yeah, I should have leveled up more. He's gonna like 2 and 3 shot my entire team. Sand attack. I really hate Gust. Damn. Yeah, I'm losing this fight. This is what I get for trying to rush it. Typically, their first Pokemon is their weakest one, so this Pidgey, this level 9 Pidgey, is as strong as my strongest Pokemon. Pidgey's fast, so it probably outspeeds me. Yeah. So going in against my... Okay, well, level 10, that's nice. I can't, ha ha ha. So Charmander's what, level... Oh, 8! Then there's also the issue of having that sand attack on, which stinks. Does Charmander not have Ember yet? When does Charmander get Ember? I should have been KO'd already. If all he has is Scratch and Growl, then I need to Growl. I need to get his attack way down so I can just use, let Leech Seed do its work. Leech Seed doesn't depend on attack or anything. Unfortunately, playing smart frequently means playing slow. Watch, my rival here is toying with me. He's gonna wait until he's about to get knocked out and then just use Ember. Alright, so his typical attack does 1 damage. That is what my Leech Seed does. Let's test something. I feel like there was one game where you could use multiple Leech Seeds and stack them, but it doesn't really look like it's this one. interesting to me that Leech Seed now happens. Yes, I hit the record button. So don't scare me like that. It's kind of interesting to me that Leech Seed happens after the Pokemon attacks and not at the end of the turn. I did luck out. You didn't teach your Pokemon the move it needed. Okay, let's hopefully, yes, no encounter in the grass to, I don't know if I would have survived a Rattata attack. Okay. Let go of my walk button and I just kept on walking. Okay, is this where the old drunk guy is? Yep, can I walk past him? Hey, I can, alright. Yeah, if you try to get past that guy too early, he's like passed out, drunk in the road. Or I think in the American version, he's just tired. He's asleep in the road. Yet, 4Kids did not translate Pokemon. Well, they didn't translate the games, at least. But there are still some interesting localizations. Alright, let's head into Viridian Forest. Alright, the big downside for Viridian Forest is that it's choke full of bugs. And bug-type moves are super effective against grass, which Bulbasaur is. However, well, let's see, poison actually is too. So, trouble all around. That was a critical hit. Versus the critical poison hit, which does 0 damage. 1 damage. So, good place to level up Rex a couple times. Oh, I forgot to nickname Weedle. It's okay, Cocoon is better. I think that wild Kakunas only know Harden, so yeah, this is just gonna go. Do we got a name for Kakuna with the acknowledgement that I'm not gonna keep him around for very long? name for this poor Kakuna, possibly someday a beetle. Whoops, not what I'm looking for. I want items. I don't think that defense affects its capture rate. Wow. I'm gonna need to head back into town and get some more balls. Yes. You know, I think that's actually one of the rules for those Nuzlocke runs is that you also have to name the Pokemon. I better go get some more balls. Because, like, because Viridian Forest is where you can actually find Pikachu early. In fact, I think it's the only place you can get Pikachu. And I don't think that I really need Pikachu in this run. But if it shows up, I don't want to miss it. Alright, the PC box is all the way over here. I want to deposit needles and Weedles. Alright, there's a limit of... I actually don't know how many Pokemon. I think 20, maybe 30 Pokemon in a box. And in future games, they fix this in future games, but if your box is full and you catch a Pokemon, then no, you didn't. That Pokemon just can't go into the box. Like in future games, they made it so that if you catch it, I went all the way into town to get some balls and I walked away without them. In future games, they set up so that if you tried to catch a Pokemon and your box was full, then it would just switch to the next box. Which was nice. It was a nice, you know, quality of life improvement. Really, I don't remember what all Pokemon are in here. I know that Weedle, Kakuna, Caterpie, and Metapod, and I think, and also Pikachu are in here. But on top of those guys, I don't actually know. I think maybe some Pidgeys or Spearow, probably Spearow. Walking for no Pokemon counters. Yes, I will. In fact, I am. This Poison Sting still only do 1 damage. Good. Alright. battle to just knock out a Weedle, but we're actually getting a nice chunk of experience out of that. There you go. Yeah, let's change. One last tackle in here before I win, huh? Caterpie can't cut it. Actually, it was your Weedle that mostly lost, but still yet. You can't jam out if you're a Pokemon trainer. What do you mean? I don't know what the heck you're talking about, dude. I'm loving all of these Weedles right now. I don't like all the bead reductions, kind of a waste of time. I mean, it's good that it's not draining my HP at all. No, we're gonna try to beat up a Kakuna next, too. Because all it knows is Harden. There's a gym leader in the Johto games, in Gold and Silver, who specializes in Bug-type Pokemon, and he mentions while you're fighting him, or in his pre-combat dialogue, that he's conducting experiments with Bug-type Pokemon. One of the Pokemon that he has in his party is a overleveled Kakuna. Kakuna evolves into Beedrill at like level 10. At exactly level 10. And he's got like a level 16 one, I think. And so there's some speculation that one of the experiments he's conducting is to see if a higher level Kakuna learns any more moves. Because some Pokemon, they'll stop learning moves when they evolve, or they won't learn certain moves when they evolve. I didn't see what's coming out. Oh, it's a Weedle. Okay, perfect. Yeah, so for example, Nidoking. Well, actually, any Pokemon that evolves with a stone, I think, at least in the first generation, stops learning moves when it evolves. So if you want to, and they reference this in the anime when Ash fought Lieutenant Surge, because Lieutenant Surge had a Raichu that just beat the Jesus out of Pikachu. And then Pikachu went back and had like some new moves. It turns out that, since Raichu couldn't learn more new moves, it just stopped gaining anything out of it. Okay, so we're actually gonna try We're actually going to try the Nidoking glitch in here, see if we can get an early Nidoking. Which doesn't happen here, but it happens close to here. Ooh, Metapod. Let me... see if I can pull it up. Yeah, we're just gonna try a Pokeball. All right. Okay. I know the gist of this bug that I'm about to try, but I don't actually, like, have the exact details directly handy. And I'm kind of... upset that instead of being able to simply find a written guide, everything is videos. It's like, no, I really don't want to watch a 10-minute video with volume playing while... Okay, let's see. Again. Yeah, so we can meet Gengar stuff. Alright. Yeah, I'm gonna skip that. I'm just not gonna do that this time. I'll give you a quick description of how it works. I'm in the right area. In fact, it involves that dude right there. You see that dude directly above me? There's no way to walk past him without triggering a battle. But it is possible, although rare, that when you step on the tile in front of him, you'll trigger a random encounter, just like this. Alright, so if I'd stepped up, I would have fought this Metapod, and then the guy would have attacked me. Now, on top of that, if your Pokemon is poisoned and down to, like, its last tick, if it gets knocked out, or if it gets knocked out by poison, as you step onto that square, and get a random encounter when the guy is trying to battle you, you'll go back to sell it on the city. You'll go back to the previous city there. Nice, Rex is leveling up like crazy. You'll go back to the previous city. I'll probably lose some money because you blacked out. But then this guy up here will still think that you're about to battle him. So when you come back into Viridian City, you're going to be all queued up for a Pokemon battle, basically as Viridian Forest, basically as soon as you enter the forest. What Pokemon you run into is determined by the special attack or the special stat of the last Pokemon that you fought. So you can go out to the same area where I last fought my rival. Where I last fought my rival. Fight the right Pokemon there. I think it's like a level 3 Nidoking or something. Level 3 Nidoran. And then when you walk back into the forest, it'll immediately start an encounter with whatever Pokemon is calculated for. The two easiest ones to get, I guess, are Nidoking or Gengar at level 1. I think he's getting some good experience out of this one. Yeah, then you just, go out and do one Pokemon battle and it levels up and boom, all the way up to level 100. And since you're the original trainer, since you caught that Pokemon, it'll obey you even when you don't have any Pokemon badges. Okay, let me make sure that I've got the correct instructions for this one, because this one is actually like the most important glitch that I'm looking at in this entire game. Alright, the Pewter City Gym skip glitch. Okay, so I need the cursor on save. Let's do And there's the guy that's going to stop me. Alright, so we're going to save in advance, because if I screw this up, I want to be able to pull up my old save. Alright, we're going to step in front of this guy. Use the B button to close all the dialogues. I've got my cursor on save already. And then basically press start and try to get out of there before he makes me start walking. Alright, so let's try this. B. Okay, it didn't work. So we're going to reset. again. Am I doing this wrong? Let's try one tile down. Okay. Da-da-da-da. Okay, so still having a hard time getting this right. Yeah, it looks like I don't know what's going on. I think there's maybe a timing issue. I know that I've successfully done this in similar setups before. Make sure that it's on save. Okay, did I press? Okay, so let's save here. Okay, that's new. So I just walked off without the guy. That was interesting. Let's see if this worked now. In theory, he should now not be there anymore. Alright, let's check something real fast. Looks like I got the timing right that time. Yeah, sorry about this. I remember this being a little bit easier. Dang it, I got the timing though right once. timing runs, but maybe used the wrong button? Okay. Let's try something. Let's check something real fast. I want to see what my maybe I should try this at save states instead of reloads. Looks looking from challengers. Hey! Save the game. Reset. Okay, so I saved right in front of him, right? Hey! Okay, alright, this is good and weird. Look, there's a guy under the girl over here, too. He just walks away. Okay, let's see if we can get through here. Okay, so walk right past him. Ooh, we just skipped Brock. Huzzah, alright. Okay, so I think the issue there, I think it was less timing and more how I was doing input. So I was kind of like hitting my start button really fast to try and make sure that I got it. But the time that it worked was when I just sort of pressed and held. Okay, based on time, I don't think that I'm actually going to be able to get to Lieutenant Surge today. Oh, sand attack is so annoying. So another issue here is that these guys are now probably a couple levels higher than I really want to deal with. Because the expectation is that I should be just a few levels higher in order to take out Brock. Freaking sand attacks, man. Yeah, I mean, if Peggy survives this, jeez, big if. If Peggy survives this, this is going to be a nice chunk of experience for her. Another Pidgey. Oh my gosh. Let's try and get that early leech seed in. Okay, I don't actually care if a Metapod gets knocked out. So, like, it just wastes a couple of moves on here and loses a couple of HP to leech life. That's fine. Like, it's entirely possible that I could just use Harden and let leech life go, and between Pidgey using Sand Attack and having a lot of defense to resist the gusts, that I could just win this like this. Yeah, so its first gust did 9 damage. That one only did 5. Boy, wouldn't it be funny if Harden started missing? That was 6 Hardens. I can't Harden anymore. I literally have no attacks. I'm just waiting for Pidgey to run out of HP. Holy mackerel. Okay, that was all the damage. Oh no. So much for Peggy. So much for Rick. Oh my gosh, this Pidgey is just wiping out my whole team. So, I mean, you're the one using these level 9 Pidgeys on me with your sand attacks and stuff. Okay. Alright, so it looks like I can bypass Brock, but that doing so means that I'm going to have to, like, give up the ability to use this Pokemon Center. So I think I need to go back. Yeah. So I think I need to go back and just grind a little bit more. Why do I still have Metapod in my party? Alright, so basically I need my Pokemon to be strong enough to get to the next Poke Center, which is past a reasonably significant gauntlet. That is definitely not what I was trying to do. So I think getting everybody to about 17, maybe a little bit higher, should be fine. I used to get so mad as a kid about those stat-reducing moves because I thought that the effects were permanent. And so, like, those level 5 Rattatas using tail whips on me all the time were just making my Pokemon impossibly weak. There was no other explanation for why I had such a hard time with some parts of this game. Okay, we need to increase the spawn rate here a little bit. Increase it here, decrease it in the caves. Oh, hey, I got Quick Attack. What's going on? There it is. You know, I wonder if it might actually be more efficient to grind in the forest down there, because I think you get a lot more experience from evolved Pokemon, and this one has Kakunas and Metapods. Did I catch a Caterpie already? I don't think I did. I don't think I ever encountered Caterpie. I think I just got a Metapod. Hey, do we have a name for Caterpie? Okay. I'm not seeing a name in chat. Butters. Kuna. Okay. Not what I'm trying to do. I really need to get a proper controller for when I do these. Keyboard is not real fun for these kind of games. Actually, you know what? I wasn't using one for... I wasn't using one of the ones that I have for Sun and Moon because it needed more buttons than my couple of plug-in controllers have. But I could probably just plug one in for this and sit back a little bit. I'm playing this whole game basically with my hands inverted. You know, on the original Game Boy, the D-pad was on the left side and the buttons were on the right, and here my buttons are on the left and my D-pad is on the right, and so I'm a little bit backwards here. Top of lots of Kakunas and Metapods in here, there's also the chance of running into one of those Pikachus. I just wish that the encounter rate was higher. Oh my gosh. Are there any Pokemon in these woods? Another thing that uh-oh, there we go, now we got some poison. Another thing that I didn't realize was, like, not in these games was a visible experience bar. Like, you can see right there, it's 68 experience to level 9, right? But there's no little bar that says how close you are and stuff. Oh, there's the poison ticks. Yeah, so you'd have to time it so that your Pokemon fainted as you had a random encounter on that specific spot. Let's try leveling Peggy up a little bit. So yeah, if I remember correctly, Pikachu has a low spawn rate in this forest, which, as you can see, has way lower actual encounter rate than I remember. Like, holy crap, I've just walked through this entire forest without a single encounter. I actually don't remember that part of the music. I don't think that I've ever gone this long in Viridian Forest without an encounter before. Well, Pokemon is largely based on the creator's hobby when he was a kid, which was collecting bugs and getting them to fight each other. Which I guess was a popular pastime in Japan, and I know that it occasionally showed up in the United States. I think that Tom Sawyer at some point had some lice that he was getting to fight against each other. So it makes sense that, you know, one of the earliest areas in the game has just a lot of bugs. There's a lot of weird stuff that happens in this game, just because of the way it was programmed. For example, the Master Ball doesn't actually have 100% catch rate. It has, I think, a 1 in 256 chance of failing, so it typically won't happen. Certain moves do nothing. What is it? Not bulk up. Focus energy, for example, which isn't supposed to increase hit rate or critical rate, does nothing at all. That's the encounter rate I want. Give me lots of these level 4 Kakunas in like 3 steps. I've got a Metapod. 10. Yeah, stronger than those level 9 Pidgeys that screwed me up so bad over there. So I think that the trick here is going to be to try to get our Pokemon as high as possible, and then just again with the poison, and then just try to skip as many trainers and fights as possible in order to get to the next Pokemon Center. That being said, I can hear my son waking up over in the next room, so I'm going to have to, I'm going to have to cut this one off here. Alright, so as I also do in some of my other streams, and the other games that I stream, I'm not going to, for the most part, I'm not going to make people sit through me leveling. So I will probably do a little bit of leveling on the side here before next week's stream. Oh, there's not going to be a stream next week. It's going to be it's going to be 2 weeks from now, because this Saturday, the 10th, I should, hopefully, if I get around to finishing it, have the Grimer video ready to go. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and end the stream here and the recording. Again, I will probably grind out a few levels before the next time that we do this and see where we're at there. But no more progress. Alright guys, so thank you for joining me today. I will be running these on Saturday mornings. At least until I'm done with the Sunday or Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday streams of Pokemon Legends ZA. So you can catch me there, and I will smell you later.